Boopity boppity. Organics are property. Greetings everyone, I'm Stefan, and today we'll be talking about the synthetic ascension path in Stellaris. This ascension path is by far the most powerful one in the game, so today we'll be covering why that is, how to get it to the maximum power level, and how it compares to the other ascension paths. So let's begin. If you're unaware of what synthetic ascension is, it's basically your entire species abandoning their flawed flesh bags and instead transforming into perfect, unyielding machines. These machines are far more productive than normal organics, grow far more quickly, and also get far more bonuses to their leaders, and of course, immortality is within their grasp. So let's break down all the bonuses that you get from synthetic ascension. The first benefit is incredible output. Just from getting the synthetic evolution perk, you'll be getting a plus 10% to robot output, and you will also be getting a plus 5% to robot output from your new synthetic ruler. You also get a base of 10% robot output from the synthetics technology, and a 25% bonus to everything is quite significant. In fact, it's better than what you can get with a biologically or psionically ascended species right off the bat. And remember, you still have access to robotic traits, and you can kit out your robots as you wish. This output bonus becomes even better when you consider that some of your jobs are now different. As you can see, our technicians are now producing 50% more base energy credits, which means 50% more energy credits in general. Of course, you do get the downside of producing slightly less food. You get a base 5 food production rather than a base of 6, because you're taking the values of a machine empire and applying them to an organic empire, which is far more efficient and plentiful in bonuses. Also carrying over from a machine empire, you'll be getting more districts from your production buildings. As you can see, this mineral purification hub is giving us plus 4 extra mining districts, and if this planet had more districts, we would be able to specialize it even further in mining. This increased specialization is incredibly good and applies to both minerals and energy output. You will also be getting more production on low habitability worlds because, of course, as machines, you don't care about habitability. Your pops have plus 200% habitability everywhere, and so it's never, ever going to be an issue. As you can see, your synthetically ascended pops are going to be the best around to do any job available in your empire. Additionally, you'll also have significantly more of them than you would with a normal empire. As you can see, you can produce new pops at a pretty good rate. The rate will scale depending on the level of your capital, so of course a level 1 capital will produce only a little bit of robots, but a very upgraded capital will be producing significantly more. Overall, you should be producing more pops in general than with a biological or psionic empire, and on the higher population worlds, you'll be outgrowing them handily. As you can see, on this planet alone, we have 10 growth from our robots, and 420 growth from our biological pops. Now, this is not even remotely optimized. You can get up to the 20s in terms of pop growth across all your planets. Really, the biggest problem with a synthetic empire is that you're going to be swamped with pop growth, and you're going to have to, build up your planets, build some ecomonopoli, make sure your pops actually have a job. But for now, let's just quickly glance over the synthetic traits. As you can see, your leaders will gain new traits because they are synthetics. Synthetics will get traits that are about as good as biologically ascended erudite pops, but when it comes to warfare, they are slightly better. You'll be getting a plus 5% to ship fire rate and plus 10% to ship weapons range. Later in the game, ship weapons range is extremely important, and when you're flying around with stacks of battleships, range is pretty much everything. As long as you get the first strike in, you'll be in a very good situation, and the enemy will suffer far more losses, meaning that warfare is going to be on your side. Compared to biological or psionic empires, you'll be getting significantly more energy credits and alloys output. In addition, once you do go and conquer your neighbors, you'll be able to turn their species into the perfect machines, and you'll be able to snowball very, very quickly. Now, the only real downside to the synthetic path is that you do get it a little bit later than the biological or the psionic. There's quite a few tech requirements to actually be able to do the synthetic ascension, and we're going to be talking about how to avoid that in the next segment, which is about how to get the synthetic ascension as quickly as possible and to do it properly. Let's say you're this suspiciously powerful empire in year 11, and you want to synthetically ascend your species. What you need to do is first get the Flesh is Weak Ascension perk. The Flesh is Weak requires one other Ascension perks to be selected, so normally I would just go for Technological Ascendancy because it's the best option for a first perk. Upon taking the Flesh of the Week, we'll get some robot upkeep and assembly speed bonuses, and we'll also modify our species to be cybernetic. This requires you to do a special project, which will take up a bit of your engineering research. However, the thing that will hold you up more than the project is the actual technological requirements to get the Ascension perk. You see, to get the Flesh is Weak, you first have to research the droids technology. To research droids, you will first have to research 1. Robotic workers in your engineering tree, and 2. Colonial centralization in your society tree. This is not something many people know about, but you do have to get this technology before you can actually get droids. If you want to increase your chances of getting droids even further, you might want to consider hiring an expertise industry scientist or be a materialist. And now let's get back to the project. Once you complete the project, your species will now become cyborgs. Cyborgs will get a few bonuses. First of all, you will get 20% habitability, and second of all, you will get a leader lifespan of plus 40 years. This will actually allow your leaders to survive until the Synthetic Ascension, and so the leaders of the beginning of the game will actually be still alive by the end. Besides the 40 years, your leaders will also get a minor output bonus. Your governors will produce extra minerals, your scientists will be producing more science, and your admirals will be shooting faster. Army doesn't really matter, but more army damage. In addition to all of that, you will also be completely immune to any sort of machine uprising, and even if there's a machine uprising about to happen, taking this perk will allow you to completely defuse the situation and save your empire. In fact, you could just end your Synthetic Ascension right here. Being able to use enslaved synthetics is very powerful, and some may actually prefer it to getting the plethora of bonuses of Synthetic Ascension. Or potentially, you can just stay in that state until you synthetically ascend, because getting to that point will take you a while. To be able to choose Synthetic Evolution and continue your Synthetic Ascension, you'll first need to research the Synthetic Personality Matrix in your engineering tree. Now that doesn't sound too bad, but you do have to consider that to get this, you first need to get synthetics, and to get synthetics, you first have to get Galactic Administration from your society tree, and Positronic AI from your physics tree. These requirements are quite stringent, but if you're really tech rushing, you can get it by year 60 or so. Around year 80 or 90 is when you should have the technologies if you're playing just normally and you're playing well, but even if you do get it late, you'll be able to still make enough impact to where Synthetic Evolution will be worth it. Once you do choose Synthetic Evolution, you'll be faced with a new project to be able to actually transform your species into synthetics.
Situation log updated.
Synthetic Evolution will transform all your cybernetic pops into synths, and will also apply all the bonuses to jobs and to buildings. However, do note that it's only cybernetic pops that will be transformed. If you have a species that is, let's say, non-cybernetic, or let's say you modify the species to not be cybernetic, such as for example, if you just apply your original template to a cybernetic pop,
situation log updated.
These pops will not be transformed into robots, and you will later be able to resettle them across all your planets and have additional pop growth. You can also just create a colony ship with your cybernetic pop and colonize a planet with that pop to be able to obtain that pop. Additionally, you could just wait for the slave market to open and buy pops from there. And if you're playing an older version of Stellaris, you want to make sure you're not playing with a Fanatic Purifier. There used to be a bug where if you were to transcend with a Fanatic Purifier, the new species created by your transcension will be considered too alien and thus will be promptly purged from your empire. At this point, you might also want to consider converting some of your agriculture districts into energy districts because, of course, robots don't need food. Otherwise, you can just proceed with the Ascension, and I'll see you on the other side. Alrighty, and now that we have synthetically ascended, we can now name the species. Usually I just go with something standard like Toasterbot. And now you'll also gain significantly more attraction into your materialist faction. To make sure the materialist party is happy, what I like to do is go contact the curators and increase my research this way. This will make them a little bit more happy, and by keeping the materialist faction happy, you'll be able to produce quite a bit of approval and get quite a bit of happiness on your planets. At this point, you will notice that your new species does not have any traits, so we're going to create a brand new template for them. What I usually like to do is apply a template for existing pops and a template for newly built pops. For existing pops, we're going to go with efficient processors, loyalty circuits, luxurious, and a choice of superconductive, logic engines, or durable. If you have a lot of modifiers to your pop upkeep, you may want to go with durable to make sure you can decrease that even further. But if you want more energy or science, you can go for one of these two. This template will be applied to all of our existing pops, and a new template, which includes mass-produced, efficient processors, repurposed hardware, and loyalty circuits for growing purposes. So we're going to create this template and make sure the new pops that are getting built are built with this template to make sure they're produced slightly faster. This way you get the best of both worlds. You'll get very high assembly speed on your newly assembled pops, while also having very high efficiency and energy production on your existing pops. I would then recommend going with a mineral focus on your existing robots, and then you will have very high efficiency, very high specialization, without a lot of micromanagement. If you compare this empire to a biologically ascended empire, you can see that we have a far better economy, far better leaders that don't actually die, far more pop growth speed because we can assemble pops and grow pops alongside them, bigger fleets because we can pump out more alloys and energy, and better conquest potential because we can of course just assimilate anyone we conquer. Compared with the Psionic Ascension, we have far less RNG, again, better economy, better pop growth speed, and the only thing we really lose out on are leader traits. Psionic leader traits are really quite good. For example, you can get a plus 10% to research speed instead of a plus 5, but there is a trick where we can get psionic traits with a Synthetic Ascension. All you have to do is trade with the Carabineers for some Racket pops, and then get some Racket leaders. Once you synthetically ascend, all the leaders which had the psionic trait will keep the psionic trait, and you'll be able to have synthetic and psionic leaders at the same time, and optimize your empire even further. But getting back to the comparison, really there's nothing a Psionic Ascension can do better, except perhaps be obtained earlier. This also applies to the Biological Ascension. If you really wanted to rush those two Ascensions, you could do it a little bit earlier than you could the Synthetic Ascension. Normally, I would be able to get a Biological or a Psionic Ascension about 20 years earlier than a Synthetic, so you do always have to consider that when going for an Ascension. But overall, the wait time is worth it, and I would argue that the two Ascension perks of the Flesh is Weak and Synthetic Evolution are the two best Ascension perks in the entire game. But anyways, that'll do it for today. If you guys want to see more detailed breakdown content like this, make sure to subscribe and stick around for future content. I'm back from my summer vacation, and so a lot of content will be coming out shortly. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.